If you were diagnosed with HIV 30 years ago, you died.
It was very difficult. There was a lot of counselors. There were people who, friends, there were people who I had to count on, to talk to when I needed them. So kind of like more peer.
When I really found out, it was like I didn't want to live no more. Cause this is new to me. I'm newly diagnosed with this. So it's been a year that I've been diagnosed with it. So I still get depressed. Depression still gonna come. But I'm learning how to cope with it, throughout the year. I really haven't accepted, but I'm kind of gradually, to accept it by us being new. I still can't believe that I have it.
I ran from it. I didn't accept it. I mean, I was, there were things I wanted to do. I was a young man, I was 23, and there were things I wanted to do. So I just said, I'm going to do these things, and I set out for California, and I wanted to see the country, and I did.
Well, I hadn't been sick or anything. They just were doing some routine blood tests, and that's when they found it. It scared the hell out of me. And it upset me. And I withdrew and didn't tell either of my sisters. I really didn't want anybody else to know. But I worked through that because, they're more of a danger to me than I am to them as far as catching something. So I look at it like this. This is just like diabetes. You have to take a shot every day, sometimes 2 a day. But this, we're taking medication orally. And it seems to be working very well because, see, I first heard of AIDS when it first came out. And back then, if they said you were positive, you didn't have 6 months to live. That's how far they've come with medication and research.
I really didn't have any symptoms. I do believe I was exposed in 1984. I didn't have any symptoms. I was going into the hospital to have a routine surgery done, and they were going to remove my gallbladder, and they had wheeled me down to the operating room. The anesthesiologist, he came out and he said, "Ken, why are your blood counts way off the chart?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "Have you ever had an HIV test?" And I said, "No, I hadn't." And I said, "This is really scaring me because I'm getting ready to go under the knife." I said, "Can we talk about this, after surgery?" And we did, and it did come back that I had full-blown AIDS at that time. My T-cell count was 7. Without being HIV positive, yours would be 1,100, 1,200. So you can see that 7, I was on death's door. And I came down with the really bad pneumonia that usually gets an AIDS patient. I survived it. I came down with Kaposi sarcoma, which is what they call the gay cancer. which is nothing but black marks. But I had it cut off in different spots. I started antivirals immediately, after getting out of the hospital. At that time, I was taking Combivir and Viramune, and I was on a antibiotic twice a day to keep any other infections from happening to me. I asked my doctor at that time, I said, what is my life expectancy? And he says, Ken, we can't do that because your case is so bad. That's when I started having to go to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, anybody that would listen to me talk, and anybody that would talk to me so that I could learn, hopefully, how to survive. And as you see, I'm still here, and this is 2016. So I really think that I've been living with it for about 25 years. Yeah.
For gonorrhea, and they test me for HIV. So after they test me, he sent me out the room, and I went back downstairs, and I was sitting and I was chatting with my brother. So I'm telling my brother, I hope I don't have it. He's saying, I hope I don't have it. I'm praying. And so finally they called me up, the guy called me up. I'm like, I was wondering what was taking so long for him to call me, because usually they'll just call you back. So when he called me up, I slightly just started walking upstairs, because I already knew something was wrong when it was taking a long time. So when I walked in the room, I'm like, so I have it, huh? He was like, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you do have HIV. So when he told me that, I just bust out in tears. Like I didn't want to talk to nobody. Like it was bad. And he sit down and talk to me. They started me with treatment immediately. I mean, once they find out that they have it, or if they think they got it, then I would recommend them to get treatment. Start getting treatment early, or see somebody, or get some type of help.
2 years passed and I didn't die, so I thought maybe I need to look into doing something about this. And went through a lot of interviews and doctor's appointments, and it was decided that we would just monitor my situation once a year, and we did that until 2000, when I went on the meds.
I would say get help immediately. Talk to anyone you can. Talk to another HIV patient. Let them know that the treatments, if you're going to be sick, this year's the year to have it, because we have a ton of antivirals out there. Not a ton, we have a lot. They didn't have all that when I was sick. So I would say to them, listen, talk to everybody. Go to the library. If you don't like your doctor, go get another one. Go get you a regular MD. Go get you a psychiatrist and a counselor. There's so many venues that you could go and get some information that could help you live. Yeah.
I had it in my head that there was going to be a cure found, but all of the people that had been on the meds, it was not going to work for them. because they'd already put all this other stuff into their system. So that was why we were monitoring annually until my numbers got down to I had to do something, But the meds have come so far now, that do something. For God's sakes, do something, just. Well, I'm on the board of the AIDS Services Coalition, and I'll work with them in any capacity I can, and I'll work with the Spectrum Center. Talking to people just in conversation, yes, I'll encourage them. Do I go out and, set up a table on the sidewalk in front of Corner Market? No, I don't. But, yeah, I do encourage people to know their status. It's very important to know your status.
That you really need, if you're using unprotected sex, you need to get yourself checked regularly, because you can carry this virus for a year or two and not even know it unless you're tested. And the sooner they catch it, the better they can treat it. So I wish everybody out there having unprotected sex would get tested and take your precautions.
I think Truvada is a wonderful thing. I do believe in it. 25 years of believing something, and something this good comes along. All of my past partners were HIV negative. I was on antivirals. I think that anybody who is sexually active, man sleeping with man, if you're promiscuous, straight, gay, bisexual, whatever, you need to be on Truvada. I really believe that.
I'm all for any medication. Safe sex is the best way to go about it. But again, it's about knowing your status, protecting yourself, being compliant with your doctors. If you do test positive, it's a lifelong commitment to either treat your disease or not get a disease. Either way you look at it, it's a lifelong commitment. You can, be committed to staying negative, or you could be committed to living if you're positive. So.
Well, if you're going to go out there and mess around, you need to get you a supply of it. Because since I've been diagnosed, I haven't done a thing with anyone. Because I couldn't live with myself if I knew I had passed this on to someone else.
I would say you are playing Russian roulette. You run a risk of not only getting HIV, but countless other things. If you have a secondary infection of something like, for instance, herpes, HIV can hitch a ride on the herpes virus to get into you. So I would say you need to be practicing safe sex. Be on Truvada if you can. Don't skip any doses. You've really got to have a schedule. Put a note on the back of your door. Did you take your Truvada today? Did you take your antiviral today? Anything that you can do to remind you to keep adherent to taking that. Put a note on the refrigerator. Wherever you can. And stick with it.
I would tell them to use protection, because it's all kind of diseases that's out there. So, just practice safe sex. That's what I would say to them.
Don't do that.
Well, just don't be as promiscuous as I was. Because, like I said, I grew up in the 60s. I'm an old hippie. I was at Woodstock, so we didn't have the education that y'all have today. But even when the education came out, it was a long time before we slowed down. And just, I mean, I know I sound like a broken record, but use protection, be careful, and please get checked periodically. You could be saving your life and somebody else's.
I just think that anyone who is newly diagnosed needs to be around someone that has had HIV for a long time. They can learn from you. Sometimes you find it a lot easier to talk to somebody else that's in the same boat as you are. Let them know what you've gone through and what they can expect. And I just think with today's technology and our medicine that we have, this is, anybody that tests positive is, you know, they're lucky. They're very lucky. Because I've seen the times when there weren't antivirals. And I know what it looks like. And it's not pretty.
I probably would share with them my story and, you know, try to get with people, you know, try to have a good support group. You know, somebody that's going to support you. And, you know, take your medicine regularly. Do what the doctor tell you, or exercise, you know, whatever it takes, you know, to, my main thing is stay healthy. That's what, you know, I would tell them that.
Listen to your doctors, be compliant if you need it, get some psychiatric help. But most of all, just listen to your doctors. They know what they're talking about, and be compliant.
Don't be ashamed, you know, because this virus doesn't know any boundaries. And it's just like catching the measles or something, really. I mean, but check yourself and be careful.
Okay. You know, living with HIV/AIDS, you know, there's a lot of people out there that think, oh my gosh, you know, don't sneeze on me, don't hold my hand, don't hug me. That's just not the truth. It's just not. And I've had so many years of practice with it that I don't even pay attention to people who, you know, give insults. It just doesn't bother me at all. And if I can help anybody to be like that, then, you know, that does my soul some good to help. It really does. We first of all need a lot of education. We really need to know the truth. And sometimes to find out the truth, you've really got to go and dig with your doctors. You can be so-called in a closet with your HIV/AIDS, and you're doing nothing but balling it up inside yourself, and it's hurting you. It's bringing your immune system down because you're depressed. I'm not saying that you need to go on the front porch and holler that I have HIV, but if you're around other people who have it, those people have friends, and they know the good ones to introduce you to, and that liberates you to be able to talk about it. And I've been blessed that I've had people who I counted on and being able to talk to other people. And now it's it's just like, I've got a bug, that's it. You know, and I'm happy. I'm very happy.
That gay people is the reason. I done heard that, and you know, the stigma is you got AIDS, but like I said, AIDS and HIV are two different things. Just because you have HIV don't mean you have AIDS.
Well, the biggest misconception was if you get HIV, you die. You know, and I'm 30 years positive, so I'm living proof that that's not true. The biggest stigma is that people don't educate themselves. You know, there's knowledge out there. We're in the cyber age, you know, and everybody has a smartphone. Educate yourself about it. We just put information out there. We put information out that you can live with it. I myself, for the Gay HIV Awareness, National Gay Men's HIV Awareness, I'm going on WDAM and talk about living with HIV. And my main goal for doing that is to help remove stigma. You know, if I can get on the television, you know, I'm HIV positive, I think that will help people. I hope that will help people to be able to come out and say I'm HIV positive also. They can put a face with it, and they'll say, if this guy can go on the TV and admit it, I can admit it to my mom and daddy.
Well, when it first came about, I could tell you it was really terrible. People didn't even want to be in the same room with you. But today, it's not nearly as bad. But the general public and everybody needs more education on this, because I mean, this is not something like, you know, your parents used to tell you, well, you can catch that sitting on the toilet seat in a public bathroom or something. And it is preventable. And all I can say is, please get tested and be careful.
Again, it's got to be education. It really does. And it needs to be in black and white. You don't want hearsay. You need to have proof right in front of you to show them. Because, you know, again, lack of education is a terrible thing. And if you're educated, knowledge is power. And when you're empowered, then you've got it. Then you can get up and smile every day and say, it's just a bug.
The newly diagnosed, the best thing you can do for them is understand they're going to be on an emotional roller coaster for a little while. They're going to be saying, why me? They're going to be trying to figure out how they were infected. There's going to be anger if they do figure it out, who infected them. You know, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. The best thing their support group can do is listen to them, and don't take lightly what they're going through.
I think I chose to share this with you to be able to talk as much as I can, to educate as much as I can, find people that need me. When you're needed, it's a really good feeling that you can wake up and, you know, find out that you can help somebody. It will boost your immune system because you're happy and you're not depressed. And being able to share all this information over 25 years of seeing some of the worst stuff I've ever seen, it's just remarkable how we've come along with this virus, and how I can help whoever needs it.
Because when I talk about it, it kind of, you know, brings some of it helps with depression, to talk about it with somebody else, you know, and it keeps me motivated and keep me going.
Because it's important. It's an important story, whether it comes from me or it comes from somebody else that's 30 years positive. The disease, I mean, through science, hopefully one day it will be eradicated, but if not, it can be eradicated by stopping new infections. It wasn't an easy journey. You know, I was diagnosed in 1986, and you know, like I said, you died in 1986, and it was a new disease, and there's not near the stigma now that there was in 1986. But I made it, you know, and I'm going to continue to make it. That's something else. If my telling my story gives somebody else that's newly diagnosed determination to make it also, you know, if he can do it, I can do it. You know. And it's doable. It's a manageable disease. The best thing is not to get the disease, but if you do, it's a manageable disease. Manage it.
It is therapy to me in a way. Plus, if something I've said during this interview helps to keep one person from contracting this virus, I mean, just because I have it doesn't mean I ought to just sit back and keep my mouth shut and not tell anybody about the pros and cons of what they do and how important it is to get tested. If I could just save one life, the stories I've told and experiences I've been through, if I do that, I've done a good thing. And I hope y'all will be careful.